Today we're comparing the Osmo Pocket, the Osmo Mobile 2, and the original Osmo. We'll jump in here and look at the Osmo Pocket first, and I'm going to do a quick unboxing, but this is not a review. The main thing that struck me is how really small this is. It is a tiny, tiny little gimbal. It almost feels like a toy. It comes with a strap, and then it comes with a lightning connector for iPhone and a USB-C connector for Android phones. Also a cable to charge it with, and then a case, a little hard case, which is actually pretty cool. Although don't put it in like I did here. The lens faces down into the case. The Pocket there in my right hand is so much smaller. It's really incredible that you can shoot 4K with this thing. And then again, against the Osmo Mobile, you could almost put it in there like a phone. Maybe I'll do that. I'll put the gimbal on the gimbal. I don't know. But the entire Osmo Pocket is about the size of the handle of these other two gimbals. And the original Osmo and the Mobile 2 gimbal are about the same size. To test these cameras, I wanted to go out and shoot in some nice weather, but of course, it's rainy and cold, so I ended up shooting in my office. I'm using the DJI app on all three cameras. It's either the DJI Go app or the Mimo app, depending on the gimbal. I also left the settings on auto just to see how it would perform. And I am more or less walking normally. I'm not doing the full-on ninja walk. I am doing a little bit of one, but I wanted to see how these would perform just with casual, kind of everyday use. So you're definitely going to see some of that dreaded up and down motion that is hard to take out in post-production. And speaking of that, nothing has been touched in post. No stabilization, no color correction. These shots are straight out of the cameras. Okay, so here's camera B. I did the exact same thing. This gimbal doesn't seem quite as smooth to me. A little bit jerky here and there. And then that turn right there wasn't quite as smooth as the first one. And here's the third. Camera C. On this one, you'll notice that the exposure changes a little bit. Again, everything is on auto, but with this particular gimbal, for whatever reason, the auto didn't perform as well as it did on the other ones. You can see some exposure shifts right there. All right, here's the second shot. This one's a little bit quicker, going along a kitchen countertop here. These all look pretty similar. The focal length is a little bit different. But overall, pretty similar performance out of the gimbal on that kind of shot. And here's the last test, shot number 3. Moving pretty quickly around this ping pong table. Again, these cameras are set on auto, so it's interesting to see how they are dealing with the exposure and the white balance. This gimbal seems a little bumpy, a little erratic around that corner there. And here's the third gimbal. Totally different looking white balance. Pretty smooth performance around the ping pong table, I would say, all things considered. All right, do you know which was which? The first one here was the original Osmo. And to me, this one is the winner. The gimbal itself is the smoothest out of the three, and then the image quality using auto looks really pretty good. The noise level is the lowest, and then it handled the different environments better. You didn't really have the exposure shifts, and then the white balance stayed consistent. And the second camera, the B camera, was the Osmo Pocket. As far as the gimbal performance, I would say this is the weakest one of the three. It's just not as smooth right out of the box. Now, granted, this was my first time to use it, and so with some practice, probably get better, but it's not as good as the original Osmo. The image quality is pretty good though. And then finally here is the Osmo Mobile 2. And you'll notice this footage may look a little stuttery, a little bit weird, and that's because I learned that you cannot shoot 24 frames per second in the DJI app, which to me was pretty baffling. So this is 30 frames per second. And the auto functions here weren't very good. Exposure shifts, white balance changed easier. It's strange because it's using the same app as the original Osmo, the DJI Go app. Now granted, it's going through the iPhone, but that shouldn't matter as long as the app is controlling the functions, but it seems to. However, I would say this is the second smoothest gimbal out of the three. The gimbal performed pretty well. And here are the other examples now that you know which camera is which. The original Osmo has a wider lens. The Osmo Pocket and the iPhone are a little bit tighter, and that's the native wide lens on the iPhone, by the way. And this ping pong shot was interesting. The white balance was pretty dramatically different. Now you could obviously set that manually. This was just a test using the auto features. But the original Osmo, I really liked the way that gimbal performed here. The Osmo Pocket looks a little erratic, bounces around, white balance changes. That's expected in auto mode, but it just seems to be a little more jarring. And then the Osmo Mobile 2 here, I think the gimbal performed pretty well going around this ping pong table. Easy to use and pretty fluid. But the image quality, not so great. Now, of course, you could use the FiLMiC Pro app to shoot 24 frames per second, and that is exactly what I would recommend using this gimbal. So in this test, I would pick the original Osmo as the winner. Not only did the video look the best, I thought the gimbal performed the best. The Osmo Pocket is obviously super portable. That's its biggest selling point. You could take this anywhere, you'd be completely incognito. And the image quality is pretty good, and you can shoot 24p. I would say the gimbal is not as smooth as the other two though. And then the Osmo Mobile 2 was the runner-up as far as how the gimbal performed. Pretty smooth overall, easy to use. I think it's a really solid gimbal, but I would not suggest using it with the DJI Go app. Definitely connect it to FiLMiC Pro so you can shoot 24p, although you do lose the ability for face tracking, hyperlapse, motion time lapse, that kind of thing. But the nice thing about this gimbal, it will work with any phone, and so it could be upgraded. You could upgrade the camera, in other words. So, which is your favorite? They definitely all have their pluses and minuses. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Osmo Mobile 2. Pair that with the latest greatest smartphone and the FiLMiC Pro app, and you are good to go. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, do that now so you won't miss any of our future content. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.